can't harm the Jews is just ridiculous, because I'd like to know where in the Scriptures it says that. I'd like to know the text. But now they say in Germany, look at what happened to Germany for touching the Jews. What would you, as a citizen of the United States, do to people that did to you what the so-called Jews, the Polacks and Litvaks and Galicianers, they weren't Jews, I just explained to you. They were Eastern Europeans who'd been converted to Talmudism. There was such a thing as Judaism. Judaism was a name given in recent years to this religion known in Bible history as Torah Theocracy. No Jew or no educated person ever heard of Judaism. It didn't exist. They pulled it out of the air, a meaningless word, just like anti-Semitic. The Arabs are the Semites, and the Christians go around talking about people who don't like Jews as anti-Semites, and they call all the Arabs anti-Semites, the only Semites in the world are the Arabs. There isn't one Jew who's a Semite. They're all Turco-Sin Mongoloids, the Eastern European Jews. So they brainwash the public, and if you will invite me to meet this reverend who told you these things, I'll convince him, and it'll be one step in the right direction, and I'll go wherever I have to go to meet him. Yes, ma'am. Well, I can answer that. First of all, the first premise is wrong. The first premise is wrong. That all the Jews are loyal to each other. Because the Eastern European Jews outnumber all the rest by so many that they create the impression that they are the Jewish race, that they are the Jewish nation, that they are the Jewish people, and the Christians swallow it like a cream puff. But in 1844, the German rabbis called a conference of rabbis from all over the world for the purpose of abolishing the Kol Nidre from the Day of Atonement religious ceremony. They called in all these rabbis. And in Brunswick, Germany, where that was held in 1844, there was almost a terrific riot, a civil war, while the Eastern Europeans said, what the hell, we should give up Kol Nidre? That gives us our grip on our people. We give them a franchise so that they can tell the Christians, go to hell, just make anything you want, but they don't have to carry it out. That gives us our grip on our people. So they're not so united. And if you knew the feeling that exists, now I'll also show you from an official document by the man responsible for we baptized this day, that here is a paper that we obtained from the archives of the Zionist organization in New York City, and in it is the manuscript by James A. Malcolm, who, on behalf of the British Cabinet, negotiated the deal with the Zionists. And in here he says that all the Jews in England were against it. The Jews that had been there for years, the Sephardics, those that had Portuguese and Spanish and Dutch ancestors, who were monotheists and believed in that religious belief, while these Eastern European Jews were still running around in the heart of Asia. And then they came into Europe. But they had no more to do with them than trying to talk about a Christian race or a Christian religion or are the Christians united. So the same disunity exists amongst the Jews. And I'll show you in this same document that when they went to France to try and get the French government to back that Zionist adventure, there was only one Jew in France who was for it, that was Rothschild. And they did it because they were interested in the oil and the Suez Canal. You know why? You know why? Because if they don't, they're dead duck. They come around and they tell you how much you must give. And if you don't, oh, you're anti-Semitic. Then None of their friends will have anything to do with them. And they start a smear campaign. And you've got to give. In New York City, in the Garment Center, there are 12 manufacturers in the building. And when the drive is on to sell Israel bombs, the United Jewish drive, they put a big scoreboard with the names of the firms, and opposite them, as you make the amount they put you down for, they put a gold star. And the buyers are told, when you come into that building to call on someone, and they haven't got a gold star, go up and tell them you won't buy from them until they have a gold star. Black. I don't know what else you can call it. Then what do? They tell you it's for humanitarian purposes, and they sent maybe $8 billion to Israel, tax exempt, tax deductible. So if they hadn't sent that $8 billion to Israel, $7 billion of it would have gone into the United States Treasury as income tax. So what happened? That $7 billion deficit, that air pocket, the dumb Christians have to make up. They put a bigger tax on gas or bread or corporation tax. Somebody has to pay the housekeeping expenses to the government. So why do you let these people spend their money over there to buy guns, to drive people out of their ancient homeland? And you say, oh, well, the poor Jews, they have no place to go, and they're persecuted all their life. They've never been persecuted for religion. And I wish I had 2 rows of rabbis here to challenge me. Never once in all history have they been persecuted for their religion. You know why the Jews were driven out of England? You know they were. And they did the first, 1285, and they never came back until the Cromwell Revolution, which was financed by the Rothschilds. For 400 years there wasn't a Jew. But you know why they were driven out of? Because in the Christian faith and the Muslim faith, it's a sin to charge rent for the use of money. In other words, what we call interest. It's a sin. So the Jews had a monopoly in England. And they charged so much interest, and when the lords and dukes couldn't pay, they foreclosed. And they were creating so much trouble that the King of England finally made himself their partner, because when they came to foreclose, some of the dukes bumped off the money lenders. So the king finally said, and this is all in history, look up Hyamson or Law, the history of the Jews in England, 2 books you can find in your library, that when the king found out what the trouble was all about, he found out how much money they were making, he declared himself a 50% partner of the money lenders, Edward I. And for many years, 1/3 of the revenue of the British Treasury came from the 50% interest in money lending by the Jews. But it got worse and worse, so much worse, that they kept up this idea of bumping off the money lenders. And then the King of England said, well, I declare myself the heir of all the money lenders. If they're bumped off, you've got to pay me, I'm his sole heir. So that made so much trouble because the king had to go out and collect it with an army that he told the Jews, get the hell out of here. And he gave every Jew, there were 15,000 of them, they had to get out, and they went across to Ireland. And that's how Ireland got into the United Kingdom. When King Edward found out what they were doing, he said, well, if anybody takes that nice island over there, I'm going to take it for myself. And he sent Robert Southguard with a mercenary army and conquered Ireland. So, show me one time there is no case in all history that I know about where a Jew was persecuted in any country because he went home and put on those things that Hollis Trillam and said, Shema Yisrael, instead of going into a church and saying, Our Father in heaven. Not one. It's always their impact on the political, social, or economic customs and traditions of the community in which they settle. Now somebody back there wants to know. Yes, sir.